Last chance on some key people around the NFL. Swagu, what are the chances that Russell Wilson leaves the Broncos?
100%. You know what 100% mean?
Yeah.
It mean I passed the test with flying colors.
Yeah.
Listen, we all know the saga that has played out between his benching, the asking of the contract situation, and then Sean Payton coming out and saying, we believe in Jarrett Stidham. Stop lying. I know you're Sean, but you're lying. Russ somewhere else, which is good for Russ, which is good. Obviously, Denver Fields is good for them. But I think Russ had a kind of resurgence this year to at least show people I can be a competent quarterback. I can play winning football, and I can also go through adversity and bounce back. Remember, this team a few weeks ago, we were talking about with a chance to make the playoffs because of how he was playing in his defense.
And Mike T, from a general manager's perspective, he's going to be a bargain for somebody, right?
It didn't happen in a good way, but he hit the lottery because Denver has to pay him $39 million, so someone's going to sign for the minimum. So the Pittsburghs of the world, New England's, everyone will be in on him, and Russell Wilson will be the most prized and unusual free agent in a few weeks screening.
Again, whether you think he's the best player available or not, you can get him, to Mike T's point, for almost nothing. What should we expect with Russell Wilson this offseason?
I don't know that he's going to be anyone's top choice, but he's going to be a good choice for somebody because, I mean, look, he's going to be 36, right? Two teams have given up on him in the last 3 years. Like, there's stuff working against him. But for that price, I think somebody's going to take a shot on it.
And then there's another quarterback who is probably going to be available, who is much younger and in a different situation. Graziano, what are the chances that the Bears keep Justin Fields?
I put it at 15%. And I know, look, I think the Bears are aware that the fan base is at a point where, a lot of them favor keeping Justin Fields. He's been playing well, he's fun, and he's exciting. But fundamentally, he's going into year 4. You're still not entirely sure what he's going to be long-term in terms of a franchise quarterback. You have the first pick. If you evaluate Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever as a transformational franchise quarterback, then you have to make that pick. Yeah. You have to reset the contract to a rookie contract and get what you can get for Justin Fields. It doesn't mean you don't like Fields. It just means this option, big picture, all factors thrown together, is the better one.
Do you? Do you have to do it?
I don't think you have to, but what Graz is saying is what we've seen this league do time and time again. And then, too, I think this would be good for Justin, right? Because if there's any inkling in his mind that this team is going to move on, he can start preparing himself for a future somewhere else. And I'm going to tell you this, man. He's in his 4th year in the league, and he may be old to Chicago. Yeah. But this playmaking we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks is somebody's going to be very enamored by that and what they can do with that.
I'll tell you, it's going to be more exciting to teams than $1 million Russell Wilson is.
Yes,
absolutely. Not necessarily a better choice or more reliable, but more exciting.
More exciting.
And I think what you have to say is if you're Atlanta and we could get Justin Fields for, let's say, a second-round pick and pay him $35 million a year and say, I have a young ascending quarterback, and now we took care of that problem that we haven't fixed. And then if we're Chicago, look, it's $9.5 million a year for 4 years for maybe the best young quarterback we've seen in a long time.
I get that. But everybody is the best young quarterback we've seen in a long time, and half of them don't wind up being that, Mike. That's the problem. And here's the other thing. Caleb Williams doesn't have to be better than Justin Fields. He has to be 3 first-round picks better, right? You're turning down 3 ones. So what are the chances that Caleb – look, I love the kid, Caleb Williams. This is not in any way meant to suggest I don't think he's going to be great. I hope he winds up being the greatest player of all time. But he's got to be 3 ones better than Justin Fields to make that work, right?
No, I don't see it that way because if you go back over the last 10 years, they passed on Patrick Mahomes. They passed on C.J. Stroud. And to Graz's point, if Caleb Williams is a great quarterback, let's not overcomplicate. Get that position pegged. And Justin Fields, to me, is a good to very good quarterback. The ceiling, to me, is much higher for Williams.
And that's the thing, right? Justin Fields is still young, and he still has ceiling, but you've had him, and you're at the point now where going into year 4, it's time to think about extending him. It's not just, do we keep Justin Fields? It's, do we extend Justin Fields? And if you're still not 100% sure about him, and you love this other guy, and it's that much cheaper, then I think you got to do it.
The problem is it's the business part.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think everybody can look at Well, I'm not going to say everybody. I know a lot of people, a lot of us can look at Justin Fields and say, that can be a winning quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
Yes.
And he can be a high-level winning quarterback in the NFL. But now you got that implementation of the business side. Now, if I can get a Caleb Williams for cheaper, who turns out to be better, I don't think it has to be 3-1s better. I think it just needs to be better than the trajectory that we felt we had with Justin Fields and younger. And maybe we have some of that experience with this guy of winning early because we can build around him. Caleb is going to walk into, him or Drake May, whoever they take first, is going to walk into a way better situation than Justin Fields walked into.
That's right. Well, I think that's making the argument on the other side, to be honest with you. I think the most important assessment that any organization of any kind and maybe an individual can make is a self-assessment. The Bears need to look in the mirror and say, what role have we played in Justin Fields not turning into the player that we thought he might be when we first drafted him?
Right.
And if they're starting to get it right, maybe they get it right around him and Marvin Harrison and one other good receiver and another offensive lineman. Right. And all these picks that you get, and those guys are cheap too. Yep. So I understand you're not getting the cheap quarterback, but you're getting a bunch of other inexpensive players with these draft picks.
Totally fair, but at the end of the day, Green, we should be able to go get an offensive lineman. We should be able to go get another receiver too. But if Caleb Williams is close to this transformational player, that is really hard to find.
It is to Justin Fields and the Bears' credit that they've played well enough over the last month that this is a conversation.
That this is a conversation.
Yes.
And do you think Caleb Williams or Drake May is going to be Joe Burrow?
Right.
That's the question you got to ask yourself.
If the answer to that is yes, then it's a no-brainer.
Of course. But how many? The reason we say that is because the Joe Burrows are 1 in a million.
They say Caleb is.
And Grady, to your point,
they told me Trevor Lawrence was that. They tell me guys are that all the time.
Gee,
Kyler
I'm with
Murray
you. I
was
don't
that.
want them to get rid of Justin.
And here's the one question on Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley's a really good coach, and his turnovers haven't gotten better. That is the one question he's going to have to answer between now and the draft.
I don't I love the kid. I hope he's great. I'm not in any way. I'm merely saying this idea that it is a fait accompli does not make sense to me.
Okay.
No, well,
I'm gonna put myself in the draft position of the Chicago Bears.
Go.
I'm keeping Justin Fields. I'm drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
And at 10, I'm drafting the offensive lineman. And I'm building this team because I think that
you might be able to trade back 2 picks and still get Marvin Harrison.
Whatever you do, I think that quarterback is good enough to win at a high level in this league.
Trade back 2 spots. I don't have the draft order in front of me, but whoever's going to pick after Washington, New England maybe, wants to come up there and get whoever, trade back a couple of picks and still get Marvin Harrison. Speaking of New England, I have one more in our game here, and that is for you, Mike Tannenbaum. What are the chances that Bill Belichick is back with the Patriots next year?
Greedy, I put it at 25%. Look, it looks like it's close to the end here. He's going to be 72, arguably the greatest coach in the history of our game. It hasn't gone well. 3 of the last 4 years are losing seasons, but I think there is a puncher's chance that he gets in a room with Mr. Kraft on Monday and they figure out a path forward.
So, Will, let's kill the soundbite here. I'll just paraphrase because we went longer than we meant to. Mike Reese came on yesterday and just basically told us that on Monday, Belichick will meet with Robert and Jonathan Kraft, talk about where things have gone, and they will figure out together amongst the 3 of them what happens from here. And so what is your expectation there? You had the story a few weeks ago. I mean, signs seem to be pointing to this being the end.
Yes, signs seem to be pointing that way, but it is Bill Belichick. It is the Patriots. We don't know really until the very end what the owner will ultimately do. We do all this reporting on these coaching situations, what seems likely to happen, what we think will happen, and in the end, the owners of these teams are the only ones that can decide, and we're really not in their heads. So, can Bill Belichick convince Robert Kraft in a Monday meeting that he deserves to stay on for another year or 2, long enough to break that Don Shula record? Can they come to some kind of an arrangement where they bring in somebody to help out with personnel, maybe a GM, which Belichick has been for 20-plus years?
Right.
Would Belichick be okay with an arrangement like that? I think there are things that can be done that save it. I still think it's more likely that someone else is coaching the team next year. But I can't get anyone to tell me it's 100%.
Reese did say that.
Yeah.
That Belichick might be open to the idea of somebody knows well, somebody he's comfortable with, I don't know, someone he has sauna'd with on occasion, coming in and handling personnel for him. Mike Tannenbaum?
Don't feel no pressure. I'm just looking at you.
I'm really happy here. You trying to get rid of me?
No,
I was going to say.
I'm merely
Trying
saying.
to put you in your position that you used to.
Jonathan Kraft? Oh, yeah. Hi. Nice to hear from you.
I know there's another former Jet that sits here every Monday with like a billboard up, but I'm actually pretty happy here. So
Love it.
Bring Rex in as the defensive coordinator.
yeah, there you go.
I just don't want Mike T to be a GM again because then he'll stop returning my text.
We'll see.
This is part of the
All right,
contract.
we'll see. We got a huge weekend coming up. There's a lot of decisions that are going to get made. And then there was some